Paris in the 1890s stood as the radiant, beating heart of the Belle Époque, an unrivaled theater of human ambition and sensory overload that defined the turn of the century. While London was a soot-stained engine of raw industrial power, Paris transformed itself into a celestial metropolis of aesthetics, light, and revolutionary thought. Through the lens of modern AI, we can now breathe vivid, lifelike color into the once static, sepia-toned, stereoscopic views of the period, gliding past the uniform cream-colored limestone facades designed by Baron Haussmann that turned the city into a sprawling, open-air gallery of architectural symmetry. This was the City of Light, a title earned not just from its 50,000 flickering gas lamps that lined the boulevards like a string of pearls, but from the intellectual and creative fires burning in every café, from the grand, bustling Place de l'Opéra to the winding cobblestone heights of Montmartre. Dominating the skyline as a defiant ironclad beacon of the new century was the Eiffel Tower, completed for the 1889 World's Fair, but remaining the era's most controversial and awe-inspiring icon throughout the decade. This 300-meter lattice of puddle iron was the ultimate symbol of the industrial age, piercing the low-hanging clouds and serving as a literal lightning rod for modernity. From its dizzying heights, one could witness the frantic, rhythmic pulse of the city below. 12,000 horse-drawn carriages and elegant double-decker omnibuses clattering over millions of paving stones, now increasingly competing for space with the first growling steam-powered automobiles and the high society velocipedes that signaled a new obsession with personal mobility. The air was a thick, intoxicating mix of roasted coffee beans from the colonies, horse manure from the thousands of stables, and the faint ozone scent of a burgeoning electrical grid that was beginning to replace the soft, romantic glow of gas with the harsh, experimental brilliance of arc lamps in the grand hotels. Beneath the surface, a different kind of engineering miracle was reconfiguring the city's very anatomy. The Paris metro began burrowing through the ancient soil, its station entrances soon to be adorned with Hector Guimard's sinuous organic ironwork, a style known as Art Nouveau, that made even the act of descending into a subway a brush with high art. At the same time, in a small, crowded basement on the Boulevard des Capucines, the Lumiere brothers held the world's first commercial movie screening, a moment that forever changed how humanity would perceive time and reality. This was a city where technology was never merely functional. It was a medium for the spectacular. Every bridge over the Seine, including the magnificent Pont Alexandre III, with its golden pegasi and ornate lamps, was built as a monument to the alliance between beauty and engineering, a gateway for the empire's bounty of silks from Lyon, wines from Bordeaux, and luxury tea from the Far East. However, the glitter of the boulevards and the refined air of the Tuileries Gardens masked a deeper, more bohemian unrest that thrived in the shadows. On the steep hill of Montmartre, the red, illuminated sails of the Moulin Rouge spun over a world of absinthe-soaked nights and revolutionary ideals. Here, the rigid, suffocating class divides that defined the Victorian era in London began to blur and bleed into one another in a chaotic dance of social defiance. Aristocrats in silk top hats and velvet-lined capes rubbed shoulders with penniless painters like Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, Edgar Degas, and a young, hungry Pablo Picasso in smoky cabarets and Le Chat Noir. It was a place of dangerous freedom where the scandalous can-can redefined public morality and the Impressionists captured the fleeting, dappled light of a world that was moving too fast to be recorded by the traditional heavy brushes of the Academy. The art world was exploding, moving from the polished, exclusive salons of the elite to the raw, visceral energy of the dance halls and the street corners. The sensory experience of the 1890s was amplified by the birth of the modern department store. Grand emporiums like Le Bon Marché and Galerie Lafayette became the new cathedrals of consumption, where the emerging middle class could lose themselves in a labyrinth of Paris fashions, perfumes, and exotic goods. Glass-domed ceilings let in the pale Parisian sun, illuminating a world of consumerist desire that fueled the city's economy. Yet, this golden age was etched with deep, lingering shadows that the AI reconstructions often reveal in the weary eyes of the flower girls and street sweepers. Beyond the manicured lawns and the gilding, the working-class districts of Belleville and Ménilmontant struggled with a grinding poverty that mirrored the slums of London's East End. Political tensions simmered as the Dreyfus affair began to fracture the nation's soul, pitting neighbor against neighbor, while anarchist whispers echoed through the dark back alleys where the Apaches, the notorious tattooed gangs of Paris, roamed the night. As the decade drew to a close, Paris prepared for the 1900 Exposition Universelle, an event that would cement its status as the center of the universe. New palaces of industry, the Grand Palais and Petit Palais, rose from the ground with their magnificent glass roofs, showcasing the wonders of electricity and the promise of a peaceful, prosperous 20th century. But for a fleeting, magical moment in the 1890s, Paris successfully convinced the entire world that life was a perpetual holiday, a carnival of velvet, steel, and golden light. To walk these streets today via AI reconstruction is to step into a dream of infinite progress, a time when every corner promised a new discovery, every cafe held the seeds of a revolution, and every sunset over the Seine felt like the dawn of a future that would never end. It was the peak of an era, a final brilliant flash of beauty before the world was changed forever by the looming storms of the Great War.